Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs, and I want to do an educational video today on recursion. Recursion happens when a process calls itself. Okay, so normally we call all the processes when we write code. This is a process that's doing the same thing multiple times over and over and over until such time that the data it's tracking runs out. Okay, a good example of that is your file explorer. Okay, he opens up a folder, and then every folder you open up, get to something, I don't know, Pete. Every folder you get to open up can have many more folders inside. Each one of these can have many more folders inside. Each one of those can have many more folders, and so on and so on and so on and so on until it finally says, hey, there's no more folders, and then it starts backing up. Okay? So it's get something wrong and you get an endless loop, and those are obviously very bad, and they'll eventually crash. But this is a recursive folder and files. The goal of this process, and you have this in mystatic.pb, that if you've downloaded any code from me at all, you have this process. So go ahead and look it up. And this is a process that recursively starts with a folder and scrolls from that parent folder down the file tree and finds all the folders inside that parent folder. Okay, regardless of how many there are. If there's 1,000, then you'll get 1,000. Okay, it doesn't matter. And also, it can track and return files in those folders. Okay, so I originally wrote this. I was I was using this to build a tree view in an editor that I designed, and this needed to be the editor, the folder of the project that you've selected, the parent folder project, and then it ran against that project, picking up all the folders and all the project files and loaded them all into a tree view. Okay, so that was the genesis of why I wrote this. So I wrote it such that you can use it for many things of that sort of nature. You supply a comma delimited list of patterns of file extensions. So you can go PB, comma, PBI, comma, PBF, or TXT, comma, BAT, comma, INI, or whatever the list of file patterns you're looking for. Just comma delimited, no spacing, no nothing. And then you supply this process a folder, an empty folder for a list of string list for folders and a string list for files. And then the last parameter out here on the right is a do you want files? Because there were times that I didn't want the files, I just needed the folders. Okay, so you have an option to say no files. Okay, so this process kicks off, and first he makes sure we have a good starting folder, and he examines the directory of the starting folder looking for everything. So the first half of this program collects, or the process here, collects folders. Now, we don't want dot or dot dot folders. Those are DOS hidden folders that are used by the DOS world. We only want, the valid folders. So he will automatically come in and say, okay, I just want directory entries, and then we're going to add them to our folder list. and then he's going to turn around and he finds one. He's going to immediately call himself again with that new folder as the parent folder, and all the rest of the parameters are the same. And he will continue to do that until he gets to the very innermost folder. When he runs out of folders, he starts backing up this process because remember, this is all held in memory. So you have a process that called himself, that called himself, that called himself. So the innermost process is the deepest. And then he comes back out looking at files for all these folders and looking for more folders. When he's doing the file check, he comes in and says, okay, I need to get the how many commas you got in there. And then we're going to look at the extension that you've provided. Was it 1, 2, 5? I don't care how many. And we're going to compare each directory entry of file types to the extension that you have in your list. And if we find a match, we're going to save it to the files structure. Okay. So, and it just keeps running until it runs out of folders and it runs out of files. So this is kind of hard stuff to get your head wrapped around. But I want to show it to you in action. And this will be, I'm going to go ahead and grab my video war game that I've been doing, and we're going to pull back a pattern of PB files and PBIs, okay? Now, there's a bunch of folders in there. We're going to, let's see, this calls for a path requester. So there's no screen I'm doing here. He just hooks up, grabs the path requester, and now we're sitting here browsing paths. All right, so I've paths, whoops, I come up here, and we'll come down here to video game. I thought that was a cute title because I'm videoing the war game, so it became a video game. There it is, video game. Now there's a bunch of files, and there's a bunch of files in files. And there's a whole slew of PureBasic code sheets. Now, this runs pretty quick. And then at the bottom of here, what I did on the code side was just dump the files and folders that he found. So if we scroll back to the top, we're sitting here looking at all of these, whoops, all the folders are listed first. So all of these end in slashes. And then long about here, we switch over to the about PB, and then all the different PB and PBI files that the software has found. Okay. And so these little programs, these little processes run extremely fast. And they only stop dependent upon the data that they're searching. So that is a trick in our toolbox that we use whenever we have a process that is the exact same process you want to repeat an unknown number of times, and it's data dependent, not anything logically dependent. So that's recursion, and that's how you write a recursive folder or recursive process. And again, all this code, the recursive folder files is in my static PB that's in just about anything you've possibly downloaded from my my website. So everybody, thanks for watching.